Pursuant to Internal Revenue Service guidance, be advised that any federal tax advice contained in this program is not intended to be used, and it cannot be used by any person or entity for the purpose of avoiding any tax penalties that may be imposed by the Internal Revenue Service or any other U.S. federal taxing authority or agency, or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any transaction or matter addressed in this show. The opinions expressed by the host and the guests are their own and may not be used as authoritative advice. Any use of this material without the written consent of the host is strictly prohibited.
Welcome back. I am your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560.
The Answer. Well, Steve, here's the question that comes from one of my drinking buddies, Dr. Richard Fader. And he said, Steve, I went to the bank, and it seems that all my accounts are frozen by the IRS. How shall I live? Can you help me, please?
Well, this is this is what we call a levy, right? They call it they freeze my bank account, they levy my bank accounts, they can levy my wages also. And you can get the levy removed, but again, what if I haven't filed my taxes and I can't stop the levy? And sometimes I work with the IRS, and if you might be surprised to learn that some of them are pretty unreasonable.
Oh my God. Okay?
And they won't listen, even though, again, the rules are, hey, if I could prove a hardship, they're supposed to stop a levy. And I have proven hardships for people, but they won't stop the levy. And it makes it very difficult. Are
you saying you can't help, Dr. Fader?
No, I can't. So oftentimes, most of the time, the answer is we can go to the IRS and stop the levy. Most of the time. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes they just won't stop it. Either they had some grudge against you, and that happens where they've tried to work with you and maybe you haven't responded, and then they start taking action against you. But I've had people where that wasn't the case, but they still seem to have some hardship against they were just hard against the guy.
Yes, I know.
And one guy in particular that I'm thinking of is in that we could show that he had a hardship. And I believe they should stop it. Now, again, I can go to tax court, but by the time the tax court comes, he's already missed his rent payment. And if he misses his rent payment, he's going to be in trouble.
The iron lung has to be moved.
That's right. You got to pay the electric bill. But sometimes the IRS doesn't care. Again, most of the time we can work with the IRS and they'll stop the levy. You generally have a time between the time you receive notice that your bank accounts are frozen and the time that the bank actually sends the money to the IRS. Generally, it's 21 days. So they're supposed. So that gives us a little bit of a window to work with the IRS to stop the levy. Now, what happens if they don't stop the levy? What if they won't stop the levy? What if you're not in compliance and they will not stop the levy? Well, then sometimes you have to turn to the only organization that's stronger.
The mafia? There is no mafia. I'm only kidding.
They're not stronger than the IRS. They ask Al Capone. Of course, he's not with us anymore. But right, well, how did they get Al Capone? They got him on tax issues.
He was the only one. He was the first one.
They couldn't get him on anything else, but they got him on tax issues. But the only organization that's really stronger than the IRS is the federal court system. And this is where bankruptcy sometimes comes in. And there's different strategies to go about filing bankruptcy, whether it's a Chapter 13, whether it's a Chapter 7, and you can now sometimes it takes a long time to get the
wheels in motion.
Gather the information that's necessary to do a bankruptcy filing. But here's the good news.
Let's hear it.
There's 5 sections in a bankruptcy petition. The first section is just general information. The second section are the schedules, which is A through J, and this is where you list all your pertinent information, who you owe money to, what you owe, what your income is, what your expenses are. This is what takes time to gather. It takes time to gather that information. The third section is called the Statement of Financial Affairs, and there's questions in there. You have to list anybody who's suing you or if you closed any bank accounts, things like that. And then the fourth section is called, it depends on what chapter you file. Chapter 7 would be called a statement of intentions. If it's Chapter 13, then you have to do a plan. And then there's what they call a calculated monthly income section, which is about the means test to see if you're over or under the means test. And to complete that whole petition takes a lot of information, and it takes time to gather that information. But the good news is to get protected by the federal courts under the bankruptcy law, you need only file that first section. So just your name, your address, your Social Security number. You could do that in a day. In a couple of hours.
They don't even need you.
No, they do need me because because most people won't even know this, except for I just told them. Okay,
forget everything I just said.
But that's important.
That's fascinating.
But that's important because now you'll have 14 days to gather the rest of the information, and it gives you some breathing room, and it will. And the best part is once you file that petition with the court, you're automatically protected. And that means the IRS has to stop any levy now, today.
Oh, really? And then you can go right to the bank. You can get your money.
Now you can go to the bank and get your money. And you
take it all out and hide it in your drawer.
Well, don't ever do that. That's called tax evasion, and you can go to jail for that. So don't try to evade your taxes. But again,
that's very good advice.
But now you're protected by the federal court system, and the IRS has to listen to the federal court system.
Except for Judge Sullivan. Sully, we call him.
He's good. Has he been ordered? But that's where we're getting all this stuff.
Yeah, but
Jim.
it's like 9 months later. Sully, you're not looking good here.
What organization is that fitting with the Justice? Come on, who's suing everybody? Where we're getting all these
Judicial
emails.
Watch.
Judicial Watch. That's what I was thinking. Yes. So but again, the federal court system is the only organization bigger, badder, more powerful than the IRS.
Judge Sullivan, they're making sport of you over at the IRS. So that would be harder on them.
So there might be some answers for you, but you have to make an inquiry.
Answer.
That means you need to call me at 312-664-6649. You can visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com.
What's our Facebook page?
Call me, and I will send you a free report of the 4 things you can do if you have unfiled tax returns and a copy of my book.
What about our Facebook page? I guess I'll tell you on the other side.